Don't be afraid to ask for help, because you never know, especially for somebody like me, people were waiting for that question to come. If you think you're alone, you're not. Just ask around. You'll find the people that want to help you.
If you rely on self-discipline and routines, eventually you'll let down yourself. So when I started changing the word routine for ritual, I guess a habit becomes a ritual. So first you create habits, and then they become rituals.
Do your kids know that you love them? And the parents are always, yeah, of course they know I love them. That's it. If your kid knows that you love them, you'll figure it out. Because I've seen the kids that didn't get love from childhood, and that's messed up. So love your kids, make mistakes, as long as you don't quit and you continue to figure it out.
This is Vibe Science, a top 100 wellness podcast presented by the Radcast Network, breaking wellness barriers and making health truly personal. Here's your host, Ryan Alford.
Larry, where are we headed? I mean, what's the goal? I know it's a journey all day, every day, but
yeah, and I don't mean to be condescending or anything like that. I don't want to offend anyone, but I do treat this like, how someone who's had alcohol problems says, even after they're done drinking, they're still an alcoholic. So I'll always be, I always have a problem with food. So it's not something that I plan on, ever being done with or anything. Obviously 470 at 47 is not a healthy weight to be at. So to continue doing what I'm doing, and, like I was saying, you asked me about supplements. Supplements is the next step to see if it can, to help me out. Changing what I'm eating, is also like the next step. Because right now the focus is changing how I'm eating. Like when I would go to McDonald's, it would be, all right, let me get the double quarter pounder meal, make large fries, large drink, and then throw in 2 McChickens and another order of fries. And then I would eat all of it, every last morsel of it. Now it's go to McDonald's. Okay. Give me the Big Mac meal. Done. Out the door. So I've literally cut out 1,000 calories that I was eating regularly and things like that. And just making those little changes. And also trying to take my head out of the equation, like to go to somebody's house and have them serve you a plate of food. You just look at it and automatically think that's not enough. I'm going to need more. It's like, I haven't touched it. I haven't tasted it or anything like that, but I've already decided there's going to be 2 or 3 more helpings than this and everything. Instead of deciding after I've eaten the first portion, do I want more? Instead of already making the decision that I'm going to have more and things like that.
What would you tell people, Larry, that might be listening and struggling with the same thing? What would be kind of your, not that you're a guru, we all go through our own things, but what would you tell those people?
It's okay not to do it alone. Take your ego out of it. And, that's something that I struggled with for a long time, was that if I couldn't do it on my own, that I wasn't going to try. It's like that's all I've ever done since I started this, was team up with somebody else. Whether it was my buddy who was making sure that I was showing up, or now working with the trainer who put me through these cupcake workouts in the beginning, but is now actively trying to kill me 5 days a week when I go out there and see him. We've grown to this progression and everything. And don't be afraid to ask for help, because you never know, especially for somebody like me. People were waiting for that question to come. They were waiting for me to ask them to help me, because they didn't want to be overbearing and scold me and, finger wag at me about my eating or my lack of activity and things like that. They were relieved to hear that I wanted help or advice or something like that. It's like, if you think you're alone, you're not. Just ask around. You'll find the people that want to help you.
Powerful, man. Really appreciate it. Chris, any final thoughts for Larry?
Yeah, man, I just want to compliment you, brother. Like your self-awareness and, your willingness to share, and you're very open about your story, and even kind of, the emotional side, right? Which even as men, we don't like to get into very often.
Right.
But I think, and I can absolutely relate with it, right? Like me for the alcohol and the drug side, like we had different drugs per se, but I know the feelings. I know that that feeling of pushing, like Ryan said, pushing that boundary farther, right? I'll never do this. I'll never do this. And next thing you know, dude, and I want to just pinpoint, like, it really takes pain for transformation, you know? And I just want to let you know, I respect you a lot, and sounds like you've probably come a long way, and I'm stoked to hear that you completed your 5K this fall.
Yeah. Yeah. It's supposed to be a turkey trot. So have me on in December. We'll see how it went.
There you go, brother. I love a good turkey trot. I've never done it, but my family does. I know they're for good time. It's a good, if you're doing a mile and a quarter, you're locked in, brother. It'll be good.
Yeah.
You need to start documenting it, man.
Yeah.
You know?
I've been thinking about doing that because I tried it about 6-7 years ago. Did it for about 6 weeks. And then, life, as they say, got in the way. And that was all the excuse I needed to stop and put it on hold until I finally picked the mantle back up at the end of 2023. So I documented it back then. And I think because of, like, I kept it quiet because if I failed again, which was my mentality in the beginning, I only wanted it to be my failure. I didn't want to disappoint everybody else. Here I am almost a year and a half into this. Maybe I should start documenting it because it looks like it's going to stick this time.
Yeah, bro.
Well, what's up, Anthony? You're the pastor now. That'd be my nickname for you because we couldn't even get started, and Anthony's in the pulpit, like, laying it down. I'm like, damn, I like this guy.
Ryan, it's like when you find the cure to cancer, you want to tell everybody, man. You are the pastor. You're spreading the good news, the good word. Yeah. I want to say, hey, listen, I do want to spread the good news because you know what? We got enough bad news right now. I'm telling you, shit. We need to know who we really are.
Oh, I know. You're right. And that's why we do this show. It's like mind, body, and energy. And we're always trying to make it about the positive sides. We're trying to arm people with how to take control of their lives. We can't do it for them,
No.
But knowledge is power, and wisdom comes from those that have the experience and 37 years of knowledge building. Anthony, how'd you get so damn smart?
Man, you said two words, wisdom and knowledge. You said knowledge is power. Here's what I've discovered. Knowledge is not power. Knowledge is knowing. You just know a lot.
Yeah.
Wisdom is doing what you know. Wisdom is power. Wisdom is doing the thing you're supposed to be doing. Because, at the end of the day, when you are doing things that you should be doing, you are living your life with integrity. Integrity is critically important to unlocking all the doors inside of you. And it's also very critical to unlocking all the doors outside of you. It's self-integrity. That means you don't lie to yourself. That means you say, I live my life yes, or I live my life no. I let my yes be yes or my no be no. If I tell you I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. If I'm telling you I'm not going to do it, I'm not going to do it. See, I don't live in that gray area of life because there's a lot of confusion there. There's a lot of confusion there, and after me being an athlete, my father, I was raised by a wonderful man. His name was Walter Cudjoe. He was Command Sergeant Major, served in our military for 32 years faithfully, raised me as a soldier, if you will, taught me discipline and things of that nature. But, I learned from a man that told me when I was very young, son, there are certain things I just can't do for you. He said something to me that kind of rung true to me. He goes, I can't pee for you, son. He didn't actually say it that way. He just, he said it a little bit harsher. He's like, I can't piss for you, man. You're going to have to do it on your own. I was like, whoa, what was that for? And he just kept
probably
telling me
meant that deeper than he said it too. I mean,
it was deep. That's a deep statement.
But I don't know. If someone said it to me, I'd take it both literally and probably in a broader sense,
I did. I was like, hold on, man. I've never asked you to do that for me. But I knew what he was talking about metaphorically. He was trying to tell me, son, there's certain things you're going to have to do on your own. I can't do them for you, and I realized that in the course of my life, there were certain things I had to do on my own and certain things that people could not do for me. They could lead me to water, but they couldn't make me drink it. That's for sure. So, over working with people for 38 years, I was an athlete. I played football. I come from a long line of football players. Matter of fact, my son made it to the NFL. I did not, because I injured myself my freshman year in college. I injured myself playing football. So my football career was over. And I had all my eggs, Ryan. I had them all in the football basket. I was going to the NFL, man. I blew out my ACL and my lateral meniscus on both my left and right knee. I also blew out my L3, L4, L5 lower lumbar. And if you're a fullback, nobody wants a fullback with two bad knees and a bad back, bro. It's not gonna happen.
No,
it wasn't gonna happen, man. So you asked me a question: how do I discover what I came across? And this is good information, but just to give you some background, I injured myself, man. And I thought I was going to the NFL, and I went into a very deep depression, Ryan and Chris. Man, I'm talking about, it was deep, man. And the reason why is because I had the foundation of abuse that happened to me as a child in my life. So there was a lot of energy, undertowing energy there. I did not know about energy at the time. I just was trying to live my life. No one had ever taught me about energy. My parents didn't, because they didn't know. Society didn't teach me about energy because they didn't want me to be powerful. They wanted to control me. So no one would teach me. I had to figure it out on my own. Again, going back to what my dad said, son, I can't be for you. So I ended up having to figure it out on my own. And I went into depression, man. I did everything to destroy my body. And I'm talking about, chasing women, drinking, drugs, all the stuff that men do to try to find happiness and peace and power externally. And I couldn't find it, man. And it pushed me to the point where, I was about to eat a bullet, bro. I just had enough. I got to the point, and I just was straight up with God. I said, man, if this is life, I said, I'm done. I'm done with it. I don't want to, I don't want to be here anymore. And so I said to myself, okay, I really want to know what life is about, because I had some real deep questions. What is this life about? Why is there so much tragedy? Why are people dying so quickly? Why are we killing each other? Why are we hurting each other? What is this about? Why am I in this body? What is this body about? What is that internal voice that I hear? Why does it sound like me? Why is it talking to me all the time? Have you ever asked yourself that question? You've heard that voice, and it's been with you your whole life. You heard it when you were a child, and you're hearing it today. Have you ever asked yourself, where does that voice come from? Why does it sound like me? Ryan, have you ever asked that question? Chris?
Just literally within the last 2 weeks, I've started thinking of this.
So understand, brother, this even shows you that this is divine appointment to help you with those questions that you have for yourself.
I really like how you emphasized replacing routine with ritual to make daily practices more fulfilling. And, that resonated with me, because I think when you hear routine, it just sounds like work, right? That's the routine. Let's get in it. Ritual definitely sounds more elevated, for sure, but it does start to put more meaning behind what you're doing. But don't let me use my words, use yours, kind of in how that shift in mindset, it makes a difference. And words matter.
Words matter, for sure. I think you said it really well. I've always kind of had trouble with routines, right? I'm not a very routine oriented guy. Kind of
You're a free spirit
on the move. And so every time I heard the word, let's do your routine, your workout routine, and that meant X amount of squats or intervals or whatever, it's something that you have to do no matter what. It doesn't matter if you feel good or not, you have to do it. And I guess when you're younger, I'm 56 now. So I guess when you're younger and have energy to spare, you can get by, right? With this idea of just go out there and crush it. Even if it's raining or you don't feel good. But I think when you get a little older, if self-discipline it's not there always. Because when you feel sad or you're little bit down or depressed, or you're getting a cold, or you had a discussion with your wife or whatever, the energy is not there. And then the mind kicks in and says, let's rest today, right? It's not worth going out. And I think that if you rely on self-discipline and routines, eventually you'll let down yourself. So when I started changing the word routine for ritual, and a ritual, I guess a habit becomes a ritual. So first you create habits, and then they become rituals. And ritual for me means something that, nourishes me, that I like, that gives me energy, that's positive. So the moment I changed the idea of my workout routine to my movement ritual, it changed everything. Because then that movement ritual in the morning is something that I'm looking forward to, instead of saying, man, I have to do whatever the coach said, right?
Tom, talk to us here in the last part of this episode about what you're doing specifically with young kids, your programs and all those things.
Yeah, I have now shifted away. We've closed down Honor Bound Academy. Now, if you go to the Honor Bound Academy, all one word, all lowercase, thehonorboundacademy.org, you can see all my research, all the material, everything that was done there. I have now turned it around and becoming a speaker, bringing to the various communities what that knowledge had taught me, and bringing it now to the next generation of parents who've got kids that are sitting there and feel lost, confused. And so where I'm at right now is I still do a little therapy on the side just to keep my hand in the mix. But I do a lot of volunteer work and a lot of speaking engagements.
And what are maybe the 3 or 4 core things you're talking about most, with parents and or in counseling?
Yeah, the thing is that you really do need to educate yourself on the technology. Our kids are so much more advanced, and there is a dark side to it. And what happens is that kids end up not having the ability to share with you because they end up in a room or in a on the dark web, and you've got people that hover in there that are telling our kids things that we as parents don't want them to know. And you need to be aware of where your kids are on the internet. And the other one is you can now order from in your bedroom whatever drug of choice you want. So if you're a 13, 14-year-old and you want to experiment, you can have it delivered to your front door, timed for when your parents aren't there, so that you can get it, go upstairs into your room, do it, find that you got a hot shot, that it was fentanyl that you just snorted, and your parents are going to walk in on you, and it's the nightmare of all parents. That's the conversations I'm having. Know what your kids are doing today. You got to ask them that.
Awake and attention. Parents need to be both. They need to be awake, and they need to give attention.
Just know where your kids are at. Just, you know what? And then here, let me leave you with this. I've had parents say that I'm a terrible parent. You know what? I just don't feel I can do. And I just wait. Answer me one question. Do your kids know that you love them? And the parents are always, yeah, of course they know I love them. That's it. If your kid knows that you love them, you'll figure it out. Because I've seen the kids that didn't get love from childhood, and that's messed up. So love your kids, make mistakes. You get to, as long as you don't quit and you continue to figure it out.
Tom, share some links or ways that we can, our audience can learn more about what you're doing and find you.
Yeah. I'm shifting my website, but as it stands right now, thehonorboundacademy.org has all of my various platforms. You can go on and get X and all the different ones, YouTube, LinkedIn, everything is on thehonorboundacademy.org. And from there, you can shift through to see my entire life, how I got here, the backstory, what the book's all about that I wrote to tell this story of where I'm at right now. And that's where you can find everything about me, thehonorboundacademy.org. And I'm there.
The content discussed on this show is provided for reference and educational purposes. The content is not an attempt to practice medicine or provide specific medical advice. Always consult your personal physician for medical advice and proper diagnosis.
Thanks for listening. This is Vibe Science. To learn more or watch full episodes, visit vibesciencepodcast.com. Here's to discovering your highest vibe.